Hello everyone. I hope you all are doing fine and are taking care of yourselves. My name is Kanika Tandon and I'm here with the video of class 8 English 2nd. In our last video we have completed half of the chapter, chapter number 4. The name of the chapter is March, and in today's video we'll be completing whole of the chapter, the explanation part. Uh, Let us start today's video with chapter number 4. Okay, so in our last video, we understood that how a keen observer of nature, who is a person who is a very nature lover, has been explaining in a very detailed form that how a month of March uh, is in India, particularly in India. He has been explaining us how the month of March is a very unpredictable month. Like someday it is raining, someday it is too hot that it feels like we are in a desert, someday it might rain or might experience a hailstorm. Sometimes it is as uh, cold as any winter days. He also comparing India in the month of March with England in the month of May. According to him, the weather in England in the month of May is very similar to the weather of India in month of March. Like if you have taken out your if you have taken out your summer clothes and have put the woolens back into the cupboards, it they might the month might make you bring all those cardigans back and put the cottons inside the cupboard again, because it is a very unpredictable month and we cannot actually understand with this uh, whether we have to, because this weather keeps changing. In the morning it is hot, summer sun is out and it is really hot, it feels like a desert. But as the time is passing by, it might rain, right? And at night it might get as cold as any winter nights. So according to him, March is a very unpredictable month. Apart from this, he is also telling us the change and the behavior of the nature, that it changes, because because the animals that are in hibernation, they come out of it. They feel like, okay, now the summer has started, because whenever the sun is out it is quite hot for them to be inside. You know why some animals hibernate, right? Because their body does not allow them to be out in such a cold weather, so they hibernate in the winter season specifically, and in the summer season they work and collect food for the for their hibernation in winter season, right? So here he has mentioned that mosquitoes, flies and moths, they they, as they were hiding inside a place, they come out because it becomes very pleasant for them to come out. But again, since because of this unpredictable manner of the month, suddenly it feels like winter, so it becomes non pleasant for them to stay out. Next, he also told us to try an experiment with the cricket's chirp, in which you can count the number of chirps that he has been doing in 1 hour, and then divide the total by 4 and then add 40. It will give you the exact temperature in Fahrenheit. This is just a experienced experiment that this author of the chapter has done. Next is he's talking about Holi, which is one of the main festivals that is celebrated in India, right? So he has been telling that how it is not quite sure whether it will be raining on the day of Holi, or it will be the sun will be out, or anything. but then they actually but it is, we know that we don't stop playing Holi, right? If even if it is raining, we still play Holi. So Indians do not need a excuse. Indians do not need any excuse to not to play Holi. So now, starting with the third para, in March, both birth and deaths are much in evident. On the one hand, you can see the grapevine and Madhumalati, meaning who, what, indica, a name given it by a Dutch botanist because of its eccentric manner of growth, add new leaves every day. On the other, neems, mahuas, jamuns, peepals, and banyans are shedding their foliage. So, in the month of March, there are some trees which has been mentioned here, which is the grapevine and Madhumalati, which is a tree. They start to get their leaves. But on the other hand, there are some trees like neems, mahuas, jamuns, peepals, and banyan. They start shedding their trees because it is month of spring. Of the dying and the reborn, peepals and banyans have the most delicate of new leaves, pale pink, silky soft, and beautifully shaped. If you want an offering from nature as your bookmark, you cannot do better than press these leaves in your albums. So he is explaining to us that the leaves of peepal tree and banyan trees, they are very soft, very pink in color, and very silky and beautifully shaped. So if in case we want any kind of bookmark, a bookmark is a mark which we keep between our books if we have stopped reading the book, just to make sure that we start from that page itself whenever we are reading it next, right? So the this person, the narrator of the story, is actually advising us that we can keep that those leaves as bookmarks because it will be very good. Most birds start making their nests in March. Vultures and kites, which started off earlier, are busy making nests. For some years, I have watched a couple of white backed vulture, I presume they are the same every year, choose the same cleft in the branches of Alianthus, overlooking the golf club swimming pool. So now he is telling us that in the month of March, since it becomes a little pleasant for the birds to come out of their hibernation, actually birds do not get hibernated, they just make their home a little make their home at a place which is kind of is very warm for them, because their body does not allow them to be out in the month of winters. Alright, so they start making nests, and vultures and kites are two birds. They start before March, maybe because their bodies might have allowed them to do so, because vulture is yeah. So they start off making it earlier. So now this person is actually talking about a pair of vultures who are kind of a pair, right? They start, according to that writer, if he has been looking at the same, if he knows, if it is sure that the pair of vultures are actually the same, right? So they always choose the same cleft, same branches to make their nest, and it actually faces the golf club swimming pool. This tree is common in Delhi. Its Latin name is Ailanthus, tree of heaven. Excelsa, very tall, is summed up by its Hindi name Mahavriksha. There are quite a few specimens in the golf club and along many roads. Its flowers, which come out of come out late in February, are hardly visible, and its fruit, which drops by June, cannot be eaten. However, it is soft. Its soft wood is used for making packing cases and matchstick. Now, he's talking about the tree whose name is Ailanthus, and in Hindi we call it Mahavriksha. Alright, they are actually at golf club, swimming pool, and around and at the side of the roads also. So the leaves on this tree comes very late in February. In late February means after 20th February, and the fruits that this tree gives is actually cannot be eaten. But however, the woods of this particular tree is used to make cases and matchsticks. Some vultures seem to have a sense of history and like to rear their young in ancient buildings. A pair of newfawns has for years occupied the same niche in the western wall of the Bara Gumbad in Lothian Garden. As Englishmen make a fetish about hearing the first cuckoo in spring, I record the first time I hear the koel's full throated cry rather than the half hearted gargles that one hears during winter months. So now he's talking about some vultures which have a sense of history, right? And they have the knowledge of the ancient buildings. So a pair of newfawns, a newfawns is a vulture with yellow beak and white feathers. You have seen this vulture in one of the movie, uh, and the movie's name is Stuart Little 2. If you watch this movie, you will see this kind of vulture because he has actually played a role in that movie. That vulture was newfawns only. If you want you can, or if you want you can google it, right? So this is a kind of vulture which is which has a yellow beak and has white feathers. All right, so for years I've occupied the same in the western wall of Bara Gumbad in Lodi Nagar. So in Lodi Nagar there is a wall of Bara Gumbad in which only these vultures can come and build their nest. Now these Englishmen, the time when India was ruled by the British people, they have actually given a lot of importance about hearing the first cuckoo's voice in the starting spring. All right, so it was very important for them. All right, I mean it was, maybe for them it was kind of unusual, that's why they have given so much of importance to it. So they got very excited to hear um, the first voice of the first cuckoo in the month of spring. As the spring month start, like March starts, they become very excited to hear the first cuckoo of the koel. Now this uh, writer also tells us that when he was in Delhi during his winter months, he actually recorded, it was his first time that he recorded koel's full throated cry, means in a way that that koel is particularly singing the whole song. As we say that these koels sings, but actually they only cuckoo. So he had recorded a full throated cry rather than the gargles, that the little noise that they make. So in Delhi, their throats open up in the first week of March and get clearer as the days get warmer and as nesting season draws nearer. About the same time, the papihas, hawk cuckoos, begin to announce their presence. Alright, now as the month of March starts, these koels sing starts to sing. As it gets warmer and warmer, the time passes, April comes, May comes, their voice gets better and they sing more. And this is the same time when the papayas, which are also known as male cuckoos or hawk cuckoos, they starts to show their presence. Birds can be heard round the clock. Crow, pheasants, deep-throated hook hook hook, tree pies harsh overture, followed by a tinkling of bells, and golden aurelis, fruity melodious calls can be heard every morning. On a warm afternoon, the tuk 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 of coppersmiths, Basanta or crimson throated barbet sounds very much like the short blast made by a diesel operated flour mills in village. So now he is explaining to us that there are many other birds though that also come as their hibernation period is over. They stop being in their warm place, so they also come out, and uh, they can be heard every morning. Like, these are the things that we also experience. He is not someone out of blues experiencing it. He has just mentioned them. If in the month of March and April you get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, you will surely experience these kinds of noise, different kinds of noise of different birds. It's just that he has actually uh, have done some research, kind of like what noise is coming from what bird. Now, no songbird in India can match the magpie robin, Sharma or Dayal. Shama or Dayal. It usually sings only in the early hours of the morning or at twilight and evening. So now this next bird comes, which whose name is magpie robin. So in Hindi we call it Shama or Dayal, right? This bird always sings either in the starting of the uh, morning, I mean like in the dawn, or at the dusk, like at the evening, or when it is getting to when it is getting dark, when it starts to get dark. In March, the Lodi Gardens and the Buddha Jayanti Park are much frequented by picnickers. The Buddha Jayanti Park specializes in planting masses of the same flower of each bed. The Lodi Gardens has quite a few flowering trees and beds of pansies, phlox, salvias, violets, and other dedicated varieties of society. So in March, this Lodi Garden and Buddha Jayanti Park, if you go in Delhi, you can easily visit them. These are the parks where they have tons and tons of varieties of flowers. They have so many varieties of flowers, they have so many kind of flowers from all over the world, and it is actually very rare to see those flowers. Like, we must have never seen them in our whole life. Those kinds of flowers they have at Lodi Garden and Buddha Jayanti Park. A good time for visiting parks in the afternoons of Holi, after the colored water sports are over and most people are tired or engaged in the post Holi feasting. So now, as the in the day of Holi, we get very tired of playing, so we go, either we sleep or we are very much dedicated about eating, because there are different things that are being that have been prepared at home, so we get busy in feasting ourselves. In the Lodi Gardens, purple bougainvilleas, the most luxuriant and pristine variety of the species, make a splendid show. To be seen among the birds are owlets, sitting in the holes of old walls, taking the sun in with their eyes shut, and shrikes. So now in Lodi Gardens, they're talking about the flowers and the birds that visits there in the month of March and in the time of evening. You can generally spot the bagged and rufous shrikes on the lower branches of the trees. The shrike is also known as butcher bird because of its nasty habit of impaling live insects on thorns. So now they are talking about the bay-backed and rufous shrikes on the lower branch of the trees. The shrike is also known as the butcher bird because of its nasty habit of implanting live insects on the thorn. So this creature, which is rufous shrikes, this butcher bird, it has a very wrong habit of pushing this very sharp object through some live insects on the thorns. So what does it do? So it basically kill those. Its work is to kill those insects. In the last week of month, spring vegetables and fruits flood the market. Cucumbers and kakadis, which is known as tar, are on lunch menus. Watermelons, both cantaloupes and muskmelons, which is tarboos and kharboos, are available in the market. In recent years, their qualities has improved. In my younger days, you had to be an expert to tell the sweet melons from the tasteless, which is very true. Only one bought kharboozas said to have come from Tonk or Saharanpur. Today you have to be unlucky to bring home a flat tasting melon. Most of them are sweet and succulent. Closely following on the heels of these earthy fruits come mulberries, both the white and the purple variety, mangoes from the south, and the much fancied Alfonso from the Konkan coast can be had for a price in fruit shops catering to the rich. But for locally grown varieties of these kinds of fruits, you have to wait for a few more weeks. So from the month of March, we start to get better cucumbers, kakadis, melons, like tarboos and kharboos, and the things that he has mentioned in this paragraph are actually really true. So whenever we have bought tarboos is a kind of fruit which is generally very sweet, but when we are talking about kharboos, which is musk melon, it is very tough for actually judge what which fruit will be a sweet one, because there are, if you bring 10 muskmelons, it is sure that 5 of them will be very tasteless. They will have nil amount of sugar in them, or the sweetness in them. So now there are this mangoes starts to come, and Alfonso starts to come, but in our place we get these mangoes a little after few more weeks because of the production, right? So with this chapter is over. Now I request all of you to please write the word meanings in the copy, and in my next video we'll be either completing the word meanings or question answers, or both at the same time. Alright, I will see you all in my next video. Till then, take care and keep studying.